Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Happiness Journey with Dr. Dan podcast, where every journey is worth living. My name is Dr. Dan, and I'm your host for today's episode. I'm a bilingual cognitive behavior psychotherapist specializing in anger management issues, both court-appointed and private, marriage counseling using the EFT method, dissociative disorders, narcissistic personality disorder, depression, anxiety, dream analysis, and also provide life, business, and retirement coaching support. I provide individual one-on-one session in English or in French, and also do group settings. If you need any assistance, reach out to DMV Therapy and coaching services at 301-325-1550. Our website can be found at lifecoach.drdanamzallag.com. Today, I'm very excited to have for our 7th episode of Season 9, a very special guest and personal development expert, Mr. Tobi. And just like every of my past episode, I will leave it up to the guests to properly introduce themselves, as no one can do a better job. Tobi, the floor is yours.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Dan. I really appreciate hearing this introduction. So my name is Tobi Ojekunle. I come originally from Nigeria, and I've been based. I moved to Germany in 2013, and currently working as an engineer in the sustainable and renewable energy industry. Apart from being an engineer by day, like I call myself, I'm also a podcaster. I host a podcast called Mirror Talk Podcast, which is available on all podcast platforms out there. And also, I have a little book that's available on Amazon too, so I could call myself a self-published author also. But this little book is just a book about stories with life experiences, life lessons. Just very casual book that is filled with just a lot of morals and a lot of lessons that people could gain from actually. So that's just all about me, in a very summarized way.
Yeah, absolutely. So you know what, Tobi, tell us a little bit about your own personal journey in life. I know you said that you started in Nigeria, then you went to Germany for a job, obviously, but how was your transition from a different culture, different mentality, different work environment? Because obviously from Germany or from Nigeria to Germany, I would say it's like a night and day. So tell me, how did you manage the big changes and the big culture shock?
That's a wonderful question, Dr. Dan. So, moving, like when I came to Germany in 2013, for me, it was totally different. Everything here was in Germany was basically, just different, basically. Like in Nigeria, we have a different kind of culture, a different kind of way of relating with each other, and which is totally different from the way it is here in Germany. Like in Nigeria, for example, we're much more traditional, much more cultured in the sense that there's a lot of respect and a lot of traditions, basically, I would say, while in the Western world or in Germany, for example, in Europe, it's much more open, and also the society is not so open, again, in the sense that everyone has to keep to himself, and you have to manage yourself properly, while in Nigeria, for example, it's like a open community, basically. Like everybody, not everybody in the real sense, but I mean you could always relate with each and everybody. For example, there are parties, there are associations where you make friends easily. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. Like it's a much more jovial, lively environment compared to here. But I left Nigeria to Germany to pursue a career and also my studies in engineering. Like in Nigeria, I could not get that satisfaction of a good engineering education. So I came here to Germany to study electrical engineering and information technology. So I did that for my bachelor, my master's. Well, no, that transition for me was a bit challenging in the sense that I left a community where I know a lot of people I'm familiarized with. Basically, I could find my way around. Like I know I have my parents there, they have their home. I could easily move around with my mom's car, for example, or my dad's car, everything like that, to a place where I know nobody actually. Like they gave me a little bit of funding, but I had to, like, for the first time in my entire life, I had to work, basically. Like I had to do some manual job, like do some cleaning, clean some offices, clean some toilets, clean some grocery stores. That was like a bit challenging, and and then taking it step by step, basically. But I kept on pushing forward, basically, because I had a determination, and I know the reason why I came over here. I came here to get my degree, and I came here to get a better life for myself, in some sense, in a life that I've always been dreaming of or praying for. So going through that hardship, I didn't give up, because I knew that if I could persevere, if I could push forward, I'm going to come out at the end of the other side of the tunnel, with my degree at least. I don't have the promise of a better life, but I know that I'm going to be done with my degree if I stay determined and I'm able to work, do all the hard labor job, to get the funding to, see myself through school. Yeah.
Okay, so what about the big language transition? Now, obviously, was the degree in German or it was like in English? I mean, how did you learn the language so fast?
Yeah. Oh, that's a yes. Yeah. Coming here at the first point, it was like very, very difficult. Like, I mean, Nigeria, we speak English officially, and in Germany, you have to learn the language German. So it was like very, very difficult. But it's difficult in a sense, in a sense, which had an advantage because it helped me to pick up the language very fast. I had no choice but to learn it. So I learned it. And the course I came for in my bachelor's, we had like the first 2 years was in English, then the last 1.5 years was in German. So I had like that deadline for 2 years to learn the language, and that pushed me. But arriving here, it was very, very like limiting for me. I was very limited in my freedom basically because I was not able to express myself basically. Like anytime I step out of the house or my student apartment, for example, I'm not able to freely express myself, talk properly, ask for directions because everyone there in the place I studied could only speak German basically, no English. So I had to learn how to use my feet and my hands and everything to ask for descriptions. Even to the grocery stores, for example, you go shopping and then whatever happens because you can't really understand what is happening around you. So it was a big challenge for me. It was difficult, adapting to the language, but having that deadline of, okay, I have to learn this language. And if I don't learn this language, I won't be able to survive in this country. And I don't have it in mind to leave the country also. That kept me on my toes basically to learn the language as quick as I could. And even coming down here, I just had that interest in my heart that I'm going to adapt to the culture, and adapting to the culture also meant learning the language also for me. So I just basically yeah
Jump
took
into
on
it.
exactly just took up the challenge and just
I mean, this
yeah.
is what people like immersion in the German language. You just have to jump on it and basically learn it. I mean, learn or you die kind of thing, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. And don't be scared of the mistakes. I made thousands of mistakes every day, as in the first few years.
Yes.
But yeah, I learned that it's okay to make
Oh,
mistakes. It's
yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Was it
It's
did you move to Berlin or what other city? What city did you study your bachelor?
Yeah, it was in the south, not in Berlin. Berlin would have been nice. I won't have had to learn the language as fast as possible because it's much more international. So I
Yes.
moved to a very, very small town in the south of Germany that no one knows about. It's called Ravensburg. I mean, it's a very, very small city. That made it a bit more challenging because when you're in a small city or a small town, most of the people there speak German. They're not open-minded as much as people that are in Berlin or Hamburg or,
Yes.
or big
Yes.
cities.
But
Yeah,
do
yeah.
you feel that you would have been able to learn the language quicker if you were in those major international hub cities such as Berlin, or that would have not pushed you to learn the language because in Berlin there's a lot more people speaking other than just German.
Yeah. I mean, my progress would have been slower. I might have not even learned the language also because I might have that. I just have that, people around me have that alternative basically. And, a lot of times when we are presented with options in life, sometimes we go with the easy option. And
Yes,
yeah, that
the
would
most
have been my,
comfortable one, the most
ex-
comfortable one, absolutely.
exactly. That might have been, what I would have done. I would have gone with the most comfortable option.
Yes,
you know,
absolutely.
yeah.
So, tell us a little bit more about during the second 2 year of your bachelor or the last 2 years of your bachelor. What made you decide to go into engineering? Because in any program, what I've learned is that, for example, business, I did my bachelor degree in Montreal, Canada.
Mm.
So the first 2 years were basically general details about business. I mean, like it could be marketing, accounting, finance, and all that. And after that, the last 2 years or the last year, you actually specialize in one specific branch of business. So
Yeah.
with you, did you decide if it was civil engineering, mechanical engineering? What did you decide at this point?
Yeah, so I went for automation. I went for energy technology and also automation. And I chose this those are fields that were available for us in electrical engineering and information technology. I chose this because I had this passion for automating processes in industries, even for my own personal life too. I love automated processes too. So I went into this field because I wanted to make life easier for for industries, for example, make life easier for production of items, maybe for automobile industries, for example. And also I went a little bit I went into energy technology also, or renewable energy too, like I'm working in right now, because I wanted to also impact the world in this environmental friendly energy field also.
So what brought you to, I mean, obviously making things easier for companies, this is actually ideal because you increase profit, you reduce expenses, etc. But after a while doing this and progressing in that area, doesn't usually take jobs away from people?
Yeah, I mean, in some sense, yes, it takes job away from people, like jobs that machines could do are being replaced by by machines. Basically, people are being replaced by machine. But the positive side to that, or the bright side to that, is that those people that are being replaced could receive some training in order to maybe operate the machines, for example, or
Okay.
receive some upgrades, for example, in order to do other things that are not so monotonous or so stressful too.
Okay, that's actually that's why I was thinking that do they just fire people? Do they train them for something better and something that they could progress in their career? Because yes, someone who just puts a screw in one nut or bolt or whatever it is, that can be
Yeah,
boring day in and day out. So now,
exactly.
if you have a machine do it, they could do it faster. But then, who usually those who operate the machine, are they the one who are the engineer, or are they the one who are just being trained off the floor to be able to operate? Because it needs some technology training. It needs more than just pressing a button.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
how do they go through the training process?
Yes, I mean, those who operate the machines are not necessarily engineers. I mean, the engineers like create like programs to train those people that operate the machines. So a lot of people, a lot of these people are being trained, with the machine itself to in order to help the machine to carry out the activities. And a lot of these machines they make use of machine learning too. So from making errors, the errors are being corrected, and the machine improves its way of performing its activities. And these people, for example, that were doing it themselves before, will also be trained to use the machines in order to carry out these activities. And that way, their work becomes much more easier, and they're able to achieve more from a day in a day than they would when they just do it with their hands also.
So when we talk a little bit about technology here, Toby, when we talk about machine learning, is it the
Mhm.
machine that makes mistake and then it learns how to modify it based on that mistake, or the engineer has to reprogram the machine based on the mistake that it did? So how does that work in terms of the the modification part of that software?
Yeah. So, a lot in machine learning, a machine works with a model basically. And when the output of this model is different from the expectation, there's an algorithm that helps this model to adjust itself, to recompute itself in order to make the output closer to the expectation. So this works in a loop basically. So the farther the machine is away from the farther the output of the machine is away from the expectation, the more it's going to go back into the loop for the modification. And that way we try to reduce the deviation of the expectation from the output of the machine. So this is an algorithm that runs on its own, through a lot of programming that's been done already. So basically, it's like a machine teaching itself how to carry out an activity due to the code that's been made already.
Well, okay, so would you agree to say that this is kind of like adopting a reverse engineering concept, which is you look at the end result and you go backwards when you go to do the programming? Is that, or to do the algorithm? Is that the way to look at it?
Yes, like that. Yes, I mean, if we draw it, we have like a big box in the middle where you have the machine's behavior and everything like that, and you have an output coming out of it. Then you have a loop that goes back out from the output back into the to the entrance or the input of the machine,
Okay.
and then you calculate you calculate deviation at the output. Then you send back this deviation to the inputs to reduce some, yeah, recalculation.
We're not here to confuse the listeners.
Yeah.
Huh? What are they talking about? No, because I'm very passionate about the technology and everything that goes around it, and also I did I invented a few fitness equipment machine with mechanical engineers. So I love that science. It's really, really interesting on how all the parts move together to be able to achieve the end goal, as you mentioned as well. So now, are you working in engineering right now, or are you still finishing your studies? What is your status at this point, or did you move back to Nigeria, or are you still in Germany?
Yeah, so I'm currently working as an engineer. I'm still in Germany, but now in a bigger city, in Hamburg, Germany. Yeah, so like I said earlier, like I'm an engineer by day and a podcaster or podcast host in the evening, for example. Yeah, so I mean, I still enjoy, my passion for engineering, for technology, and that's what I, carry out every day of the week, basically during the day. Yeah, during the day.
So would you say, because a lot of people who are possibly still finishing school and or still contemplating to go back to school or whatever it is, now a lot of people wonder what we learn in school or what you learn in school when it comes to engineering. Are you implementing everything that you learned in your program into the workplace environment, or it's a complete different teaching?
Yeah, it's not completely different, but I'm not making of everything also. But I like to look at it in this sense. I make use of a little bit of everything, like so maybe not directly everything, but like a little lesson from here, a little lesson from there. But it is mostly I'm so grateful and blessed to be working in a particular field that I learned in school also.
Excellent.
Like I did some internship on that before, and I'm blessed to be working in that field also, as as an engineer too. But yeah, it's just this field, and every other thing I learned in school is basically gone basically.
Absolutely, because a lot of
Yeah.
people wonder, for me, I studied calculus 1, calculus 2, linear algebra, calculus 3, which is mathematics in space, and I said, am I ever going to use this? Never.
No,
Now
never.
I
Yeah.
end up to be a psychotherapist. I will never use calculus with my patients, so
Yeah.
completely irrelevant. So a lot of people say everything that they study in their bachelor degree or their master's, are they really putting this into practice? And why is the educational system is not more based on practicality versus theory? And this is what we see a lot. I mean, they just dump us with theories and then go to the to the outside world and good luck. No one has any practical sense of applying their knowledge into their work or whatever it is. So this is where I see that there's a disconnect between education and the workplace environment. Is it the same in Germany, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of cases, that's true. Like, you go to school and you learn a lot of things, and you get into the industry. I'm like, okay, why did I spend the last 5 years of my life in school? but sometimes, like I said, you could be lucky to also work in a field that maybe you wrote your master thesis in already, for example, or wrote your bachelor thesis in. I mean, there's some career path that takes you in that direction, that you just continue your master thesis as a profession in your workplace, for example. That's also very, 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 very possible and very common, like I've seen here in Germany. But in my own case, it's like an internship I did randomly in my bachelor's that I'm also working on as an engineer right now. But some other people that I know of, they go to school. I mean, we went to school together, spent 5 years in school, and now they're doing something completely different apart from what we learned in school. So it's a different, different cases for different people, basically.
Oh, absolutely. But when it comes to science or specialties such as psychotherapy or dental or engineering or doctor, whatever it is. Okay, so what they study in school, I would imagine that it would be put into practice because anything that has to do with bridges or to do with like a cavity or a root canal, it's the teeth. This is universal, right? I mean, your teeth in Germany will be the same teeth as in the USA. Okay,
Of course.
practice anywhere, or even the mental field, psychotherapy will work everywhere. It's not because I know some US concept that you in Europe would not be something similar. The brain works the same way, basically anywhere around the world. But yet accounting will be different because laws in accounting in the US would be different than in Canada or Europe. So someone who has their knowledge in accounting here will have to be retrained completely in Germany, because they may do something completely different when it comes to general ledgers, when it comes to bank reconciliation and all that. So that's why I see that certain specialties are not universal. They're only very local to the country or to the state.
Yeah, that's true. That's very, very true. Yes. I mean, in engineering too, it could apply to some, some fields, some areas. Maybe when that's to do with, for example, electricity, for example, like electrical engineering, when it has to do with frequencies. I don't want to bore your listeners with, all these frequencies and voltage and other things. But some countries, for example, work with 60 hertz, and that's the circle of the circle. How many circles like a machine does per time, per seconds, for example. Yes, and some countries work with 50 hertz, for example. Yeah, so
Yes.
there are different standards that one has to pay attention to in that regards. But like in life too, basically, different countries, different laws, or different people, different laws. But we have the way of modifying ourselves, or fitting ourselves into the kind of laws or situation of a particular place that we are in at a point in time.
Beautiful. So tell me a little bit more before we end this podcast. Tell us about your podcast, and tell us about what is the topic that you talk about in your radio show.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much for that. Yeah. So Mirror Talk podcast is called my podcast is called Mirror Talk Podcast. It's a podcast where we talk about, we have soulful conversations about personal development. We have self-improvement topics. So it's a kind of show where I speak with a lot of guests from different walks of life. Like they come over, they share their stories, they share what they've gone through in life, they share their life lessons, and we talk about love, we talk about relationships, we talk about finance, we talk about personal growth also. And I'm so far in the journey, I've been blessed to meet a lot of people who share the best stories. I mean, even bad things that they've gone through in life, basically, and how they were able to bounce out of this bad situation or bad experiences to becoming who they are today. So a lot of people come over and they share like business ideas, they share finance tips, they share how to maybe get rid of some addictions, for example, how to come out of poverty. So it's just a podcast where we just have this soulful conversation, and it's called Mirror Talk because all of these conversations helps the listeners to reflect on their own life, to see what points in my life can I adjust, what points do I relate with what this person is talking about, and how can I learn from what this person has gone through, even to become a better person myself.
Well, your podcast seems to be in sync with the happiness journey with Dr. Dan, because when I bring people in, they share their own experiences, they share their own challenges about their own lives, and obviously some of them go through very difficult struggles, and others they basically teach on what did they do, some tips on what they did to be able to kind of like get out of this funk that they're in, to be able to kind of progress and develop into someone better and grow through that process. So I like to be able to hear success stories that you also share to others, and by you bringing guests and let them know, hey, what have you done and how can you help our listeners grow from their difficult struggles or challenges that they face and be able to kind of like come out a winner. So kudos to you, Tobi, for doing this. And, a lot of people need to hear that we are all humans. Okay. They need to hear that we all have our own set of struggles, and success is not always guaranteed.
That's true.
That's very true. And I see that a lot, and a lot of people always compare themselves to others to say, why did he succeed and I'm failing? Why is he better looking and I am not? Why is he richer and I'm poor? Why is he physical, or why is he fit and I'm not? So it's constant comparison. But what they don't know is that what they see online on social media, it's all fake.
That's true.
So they need to kind of like, stop comparing, stop investing so much energy into comparing yourself with others, and compare yourself to yourself. Because who you are today, Tobi, and who you are tomorrow or next week are two different people.
That's true.
So you have to compare to say, how can I be a better version of myself? How can I be someone who can help others? And like Zig Ziglar said, always increase your happiness by making sure that others are also happy, or that others are also succeed. So you always have to lend a hand and teach people how to basically pay it forward.
Yes.
you know
That's very valid. Yeah.
so then your journey definitely will help a lot of other people learn as well, and that what, fear is just an illusion.
Mm.
And I'm sure that you were scared when you left Nigeria, your friends, your family, to go to a different country, a country that you don't know much about, the language, the culture, everything that follows. And you still manage to say, you know what? I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to stop until I get my master's or my PhD, whatever it is, and then I will continue on. And you did this. So kudos to you for that one, Tobi. And
Thanks
I
so much, Dr.
really,
Dan.
really feel that you're on your way to great success. And on that note, that is all the time that we have for today's podcast. And I really do appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us. And thank you again, Tobi, for inspiring our many listeners with your incredible story. Now, we hope that you've all enjoyed today's episode. And I'm very excited about the many upcoming guests that we have scheduled for season 9 of the Happiness Journey podcast, filled with inspirational stories, just like the one that you listened to today. Now, here are some concluding words of wisdom. The famous Maya Angelou once said, "You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. In fact, it may be necessary to encounter the defeat so you know who you are and what you're made of, what you can rise from, and how you can still come out as a winner." It is easy to feel like you're on top of a mountain when only success comes your way, or may feel like the smartest person in the room when you're in a room of a lot of stupid people. But what you will keep be humbled is to experience defeat and not let it bring you down or stop you from moving forward. Many very successful people out there failed thousands of times so they could succeed that one time. That one time of success is what defines them to be someone who will never give up despite all odds against them. Someone who will keep building that brick wall despite the many bricks thrown at them throughout their journey in life. It is not about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. This is what success really is. You want to live through defeats in life so you can be a better prepared for your upcoming successes. Many let failures defeat them and never give themselves the chance to experience these successes. Don't let it be you. My name is Dr. Ddanamzallag, and you may all keep pursuing your amazing journey in life.